Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Whoa. What are we doing here? We got a few different people. What? Wait, hang on. We've got some guests here, folks. We've got something different tonight. We've got the Geeks Co folks are here. LIVE live on Monday Night Nerd, folks. How you doing?
Wonderful. How are you?
What's up, Mr. Myers?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. For those who don't know, if you've been living under a rock lately, we got Geeks Co. If you've never seen the Geeks Co podcast, if you've never seen these folks, at your local convention, this is Geeks Co. These folks are cosplayers. They're geeks. They're podcast hosts. And we've already got the chat going nuts.
Please read Noah's comment, please, because it's goddamn perfect.
Yeah.
Who the hell are these assholes? I didn't know the a-hole parade was in town.
Yeah.
That is on fire already.
That is amazing.
Okay.
Wow.
Victoria would like know what this
also,
means for her melons. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jeff,
this is the crowd that usually follows these gentlemen.
I'm so glad
We're sorry. We're
sorry.
We apologize.
We've got Messiah Complex Cosplay. We've got Rob the Bad Guy. We've got JS. The Geeks Co folks are here.
I swear we did not come here to ruin his show. I promise.
We're going to.
You call
That's
this
not
ruin?
why we
This
came
is-
here, but we're so going to.
This is far from ruin. This is going to be a lot of fun, folks. We're going to be talking tonight about cosplay in the Southern Ontario area because I don't know many other groups that put on a hell of a show when it comes to cosplay at conventions like these three guys and the rest of the Geeks Co team. But before we get into all that, if you're new here, hi. My name's Myers Corp Cosplay. I'm a cosplayer. I'm a nerd. I've been attending cons for 10 years. I've been cosplaying for 10 years. 5, really. I've been a nerd since birth. I'm here talking about nerdy stuff. I have some nerdy guests. I talk about nerdy stuff. This is it. Welcome. Please subscribe. Please like. Greatly appreciate it. Now that that's out of the way, actually, before we start, one more thing. I always have a sponsor on my show. If I don't have a sponsor, I'm going to be very upset. My beautiful, lovely, amazing wife is always my sponsor because I don't get paid to do this, but she supports me. So, hun, I love you. Thank you for making me the man I am. I greatly appreciate you. Love you. Now, that's what I do. If you guys, by the way, I don't think half of these guys actually watch the show, but
I'm an avid viewer of this Tuesday night titties or whatever this is. I love this
That's
show.
what I
This
was
is my
expecting.
favorite.
that's what I was expecting.
I've tuned in. I'm not
You
here every
have.
single week, but I have absolutely tuned in.
You have.
Yeah,
Like,
I have.
you have. All right. Anyway,
I love your intro. Your intro rocks, by the way.
Yeah, that's a great intro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That would be thanks to the folks at Canva. Greatly appreciate it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Usually we talk about news of the week, but I got 3 guys here that are going to be talking about cosplay and all of the stuff that they love. If you've tuned into their show, they have guests on almost every other week. They talk about nerdy stuff, but we don't know much about the Geeks Co. They don't really delve deep into their lives and their world because they like talking to other people, finding out about them. So let's start things off. Jeff, if you want to start things off, how did you 3 meet? How did you become friends? If you want to call each other friends, how did you guys get to become the Geeks Co?
I really still haven't met Rob. We've just hung out in the same places at the same time. I don't know if we've really met. JS and I met many moons ago at a very small con, Oshawa Comic Con, that was being run by David Wildstar, who runs the pop culture cons.
He doesn't even remember that I was there.
You were there. That's the thing. Rob
You're
was
fucking
at
up
this
my
con
story.
as well.
Shut up. Anyways, like I was saying, honestly, it's one of those things where we met at that con and it was briefly, and I knew Anthony from Cosplay Alliance. I knew him on site, so there was a couple of highs, and that was it. And then the blip happens, and JS reaches out to me. He's like, I'm putting together this podcast. It's called Geeks at the Round Table. It's going to be like 4 or 5 of us. We're going to pick a topic, and we're just going to go all around the table and talk about stuff. We'd love it if you joined us at this round table discussion. You could be on weekly, and you'll just be one of the regulars on the podcast. Not a co-host, but just one of the regulars that would sit at the round table and talk about geek shit. And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. That'd be great. And the first episode, like 3 of the other 4 dudes just didn't show up for the episode, just never showed up for the episode. And so from then it was just like, well, motherfucker, you stuck with me now.
Well,
and
no, there was 4 of us for the first show.
there was, but one of them
was
was supposed to be a regular. One of them, I don't know if it was like a last minute addition, me and you. And then after that, it was just Jess and I,
Yeah.
through and through. And then I got a chance to meet and interact more with Rob, first through the podcast, and then when we started to do live events. And I mean, I'm going to say this, I don't know if he feels the same way, but it just felt like Rob and I clicked right away and got along really, really well, and just had a lot of the same, like, don't give a shit attitude about a lot of things. And like, he's kind of an inspiration for me to give less of a fuck about stuff. So, and so then there was just a bond formed, and we've just all we've been super lucky. Like, this could have been a disaster, like, especially when we all got together and we all started doing live events. There could have been so many conflicts of personalities.
Yeah,
We all have very distinctive personalities, and none of us are overly shy, and none of us are overly like we're all outspoken about what we want and how things go and everything else. And there have been times where obviously, like, we've said like, oh, like, this is good and you suck or whatever, but there's never been a time where we really got after it, because we just all clicked in such a great way. And then the additions that we had with Megan and with Teresa, and of course with producer Jen and stuff, we've gotten Jamie, we've got very lucky that we all get along as well as we do.
Mm.
This many distinct personalities, this could have been a fucking shit show. And I mean, sometimes it's a shit show, but for the most part, it's wonderful. And I love these 2 idiots more than they know.
Aww.
Anyways, that's my story.
No, I think you have a good point, though, that, you know, when you're putting on the type of shows that we try to put on anyway at some of these conventions, we can't do these things on our own, right? Like, the people behind us are you know, there's 8 of us now, 7 of us, 8 of us in total.
I think 7 total, right?
So, you know,
Jamie, which I don't like to do, but if we include Jamie, that's definitely.
Well,
7.
you know, I know you don't like to, but you just sort of can't not include Jamie, especially since she basically runs our online store. Guys, by the way,
she sure does. Oh,
we've got new hoodies available on our online store. We're running a
Be
promotion
branding.
right now, guys. That you can't see them because of the way the screen is cut right now, but I'm giving away one of my Mandalorian helmets. So if you go and order between now and December 1st, sorry, now and December 24th, automatically entered. Every dollar you spend gets you an entry for one of my Mando helmets.
That's not a bad deal.
Which one?
Guys.
The one you want, either
one you
Din
want.
Djarin, which is not quite done yet, Armorer, or Bo-Katan, the one you want. Yeah,
Not bad, not bad. So,
yeah.
and I'm repping the Geeks Co tonight because
There's new designs, right? New hoodies, new designs. Yeah.
And
So
you
go
know
check it
what?
out.
I will fully admit I have bought, you know, friends merch and stuff. This is quality. I've had some shirts that I've got that after 2 washes, they're destroyed. They're vintage looking at that point. This has been through about 3-4 washes. It's still pristine as if I just picked it up. So whoever does
that is
it,
a good point. All of my stuff too is surprisingly still in great condition.
yeah.
This hoodie has been washed almost weekly for the last 2 years, and
yeah, it looks fantastic.
I mean it's only now starting.
Oh
to,
yeah,
like,
stand up, baby, show it off. Woo! Shake that shit.
The rest of the show will be on Patreon later tonight. $9.99.
Oh, okay, moving on. Whose turn?
Rob, how did you fall into this nonsense mess
Yeah.
in the first place?
Oh, it all goes back to the year 2009.
9, 10?
Probably was when I first met JS. And when you've got like young kids and you're standing out front of your house on a suburban street, you tend to meet all the other parents with young kids. And honestly, that's how I met this guy, JS. Started way back then. We were neighbors for a good 12 years on the same street, about 10 houses apart. And we pretty quickly, clicked like you said, with the three of us, you know, when you find that one person that not one person, but when you click with somebody really fast, it's pretty apparent and obvious. And it was the same thing with Jeff, right? It's like we had just met, but it had been like we'd known each other for years as well too. You don't need to get to know each other; you just crack a beer and go from there. But that's how I met JS, and he dragged me to a Comic-Con. Oshawa
Yeah, the first
Comic-Con,
one was Oshawa Comic Con where we met Jeff.
many years later. Yes, and so
Hilarious.
My first time cosplaying was at that show, and it was a Punisher that JS had worn. He's like, he'd made it, and he's like, here, just wear this. So I wore it, and that's so. My perspective on that story with JS and Jeff is JS went over to talk to Jeff about some podcast he wanted to do, and you were doing Negan, and your Negan was so good. I hated you. I'm like, who is this motherfucker that he's talking to? I hate that guy. He's an asshole. Excuse my language.
You're not wrong.
It was so good. I hated you.
Thanks, buddy.
At first.
I got a lot of that. If that makes you feel better, I
saying.
got a lot of that early on. So that's all right. I'll take that.
That's when you know you got.
That's what that character. Yeah, that character. Even the first time I saw that character on the show, that was my impression of him.
Yeah,
So,
of course. Yeah.
No, you did a great job, and
Thanks, man. Thanks.
didn't match the how nice of a guy you turned out to be.
Oh, so nice. Nice.
Anyway.
Anyway, say. Full of shit.
So much love in this room. It's so, as we've just brought up, all three of you are amazing cosplayers, and I don't think I'm the only one who believes that. JS, let's start with you. How did the cosplay thing start with you? Like, was it I just loved Halloween so much that I wanted to do it every day of the year, or was it?
It's a little bit of mix of that. I feel like a lot of people have a similar love for Halloween that I think me and Rob have had for a long time. And listen, we got to the point where we redid the whole front of his garage into a Crystal Lake cabin with light show and smoke, and like we would go all out for Halloween, and that was really our gateway, I guess, into cosplaying. What really did it for me was, I've said this story before. I'm sure I've said it 100 times now. I wanted to make a lightsaber. I wanted to make my lightsaber. I didn't want to go buy a lightsaber. I wanted it to be mine. And I went down the YouTube cosplay rabbit hole, and I came out with a full costume, right? That's kind of how it went for me. And after that, I was addicted. After that, I just, once I figured out, oh, I can do this, right? I can make stuff with my hands. I'm good at this. I've always been artistic. So once I figured it out, it's like, that's it. I'm done. And I was hooked. That's basically my story.
Rob, similar?
I'm going to stick with it.
Or I assume similar for you, Rob, if your entire garage was the Crystal Lake.
Yeah,
set.
yeah. It all started with Halloween. Yeah. And you know what I think it was? When JS first got a 3D printer, and it was, I guess, because of that, your lightsaber, that's when everything changed. In the 3D printer.
For sure. I mean, yeah. That's when cosplay leveled up from making Punisher vests to full blown, well, you can't see it, but Predator armor, right?
Yeah.
Jeff, what about you?
Yeah, a little different for me. Yeah, I'm not a Halloween guy. Don't lynch me. I just never have been.
Of course.
Well, it was with the kids. It was always like it was for the kids. And I've had kids since my mid to late 20s. So, and before that, it just wasn't a priority for me. So, there used to be Toronto Comic Con used to be held at the Royal Constellation way back in the days. And back in 1997 and 1998, those 2 years, I went to Toronto Comic Con as a dealer. I was selling box computer software at the time. And back, I don't even know if it was called cosplay back in the late 90s. I'm sure it was in Japan, but I don't know if it was really called that here. And there was, of course, that's the only cons there were these Star Trek cons. There were no real Comic-Cons. And I remember seeing people walking around in like Klingon outfits and Starfleet outfits. And I literally turned to the guy that I was working with. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like, you're never going to catch me fucking dead in any of those costumes. Look at those losers, those nerds. I swear to God. He and I laugh about it to this day. I'm like, never in life will you ever find me doing anything like that. And then flash forward to London, Ontario, where I'm from. Had 2 Comic-Cons start at the same time. We have Forest City Comic-Con and London Comic-Con. And I went to the first Forest City Comic-Con because it was run by friends of mine, just in my civvies. And I saw all these people having such a good time at the con in costumes. I was like, maybe there is something to this. But we're talking about, like, this is now 8 years ago. So we're talking about like 20 years removed from when I went to that first thing. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll see what I can put together. And I put together my first cosplay and went to a couple of events after that. But the same con the following year was the first time I went out as Negan, and that changed everything. That was a whole, it was the biggest show on TV, and he was the bad guy on the biggest show on TV. So there wasn't anywhere on the planet that you could go to escape that character. And the visceral reaction I got from it, just, it was like, okay, this is what I want to do now. And I've been doing it ever since.
Do you agree that you cosplay until you find that character that really connects, and then you're a cosplayer? Then there's no going back after that, right? Then you know this is it. You're doing this.
But
forever.
yeah, but the connection can just be your own connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be a connection with the crowd.
True.
But in this case, for me, it absolutely was, because I had done a character before that connected with hardcore fans of that thing, but it didn't connect with people overall. And so I still enjoyed doing it, but it didn't have the same reaction. But yeah, when I first went out as Negan and people were like stopping their cars to scream at me on the street, I was like, all right, clearly there's something to this. Maybe I'll run with this for a while. And now, yeah, fucking here we are. I think that was like 2015, maybe somewhere around there, 2016, right after he debuted on the show. And that's, yeah. Anyways.
So good segue into the next question. First cosplays, why Negan? Like, why did you, obviously it wasn't as beloved of a character as it is now. Was there something about it that just grabbed you and went, that's the one?
I didn't even know the character. I hadn't read the comics. My friend had. I was watching the show with my friend, and he's like, can't wait for Negan to come on. Can't wait for Negan. And it wasn't until like the end of season 6. So when I first debuted the character, he had only been on for 2 minutes at the end of season 6. They hadn't premiered season 7 yet by the time I went to the con. And because I didn't see I didn't read the comic, I had no idea anything about the character specifically. It's just, I already love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. People had already told me from watching Watchmen that I kind of resembled him a little bit. But then when I was watching that episode with my buddy and he stepped off the RV in his leather jacket with the bat and the scarf, I was like, I'm doing that. Like, I'd already done one character, but I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. Not having any idea that it was going to blow up and become as huge as it was. And so, yeah, with almost no personal connection to the character, just knowing I had a slight resemblance to the guy, I just put the clothes on and I went to the first con and people were freaking out. But one dude came up to me to talk to me specifics about the character Negan. And I was just on camera, by the way. He's recording video at the time and he's hit me with all these references. And I'm just like, yeah, that exactly. I feel exactly this. Like, no idea what he's referring to, because the character had only been on television screens for like a minute or whatever it was at the end of that one season. So
yeah, I've had that experience too, where people they come up and talk to me about something. I'm just like, I've seen 3 minutes of this person. I have no idea.
Well, that's after that I swore, I'm like, I'm never doing that again. If I'm doing another character, it's going to be a character that I at least know most of the specifics to, so that I don't ruin some poor person's fan experience by not having a clue about the character. That's how they're connecting with you as a cosplayer, because you're representing the fandom to them in a way that they don't. Negan's not a real person, but they get to meet you as him. They want to interact with you in that fashion. And if you don't have any idea what they're talking about, you just ruined that for them. And I don't want to be the guy that ruins other people's fandoms, right? So
no, that's fair. That's fair. That actually reminds me of a funny story. When I think it was 2019 at Fan Expo, I had signed up for the masquerade. It was brand new hosts. I think they did it the year before, but this was the first time I was doing it with them. And we got in the back line. We're all lined up and the host comes up and says, instead of you interacting with me, I'm going to ask you a question when you get on stage about your character. And everyone went, okay, cool. What's the questions? And she goes, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you when you get on stage. And everybody had an anxiety attack because you're like, what is she going to ask me? And I was like, well, think about it. She's not going to make you look dumb. She's not going to pick some reference that only 3 people get. So we're probably safe. But there's that anxiety of like, I don't really know a lot about this character that I'm cosplaying. So I get that fear where you could just be in that moment, and being recorded was probably perfect for that.
Yeah, it's also probably one of the main reasons why I personally stay away from characters that I don't know anything about, right? Like I almost don't feel comfortable playing the character without knowing the character, right? It's no longer cosplay, it's just a costume.
Yeah.
Right? Like for me anyway. I'm not saying it has to be like that for everybody, but for me, yeah, it's yeah. I need to know what I'm
Rob-
getting myself into.
Rob, what about you? What was the first big one for you, or your first cosplay?
I'll give you both. The first
Yeah.
cosplay, I'm pretty sure, the Halloween aside, was the Punisher. Again, I had just borrowed something that JS had made, and we went to, I think it was the Toronto Comic Con, 2018, 2019. No, it was 2019.
No,
I think it
was before that. It was like 2017.
Okay, sure, 2017.
Because 2019 was the last one.
But I didn't think of myself as a cosplayer at that time. I think JS was just getting into it, and I didn't understand it at the time. And then I decided to put that on and go because I just thought it was fun, right? I didn't think of it as cosplaying. I took, again, it was with my kids, and I just did it for fun. I didn't do anything to do about cosplaying. I didn't even know cosplaying was a thing, to be honest with you. Aside from that, that was my intro to it. But the Predator was really the big one that got me into cosplaying. And really, again, that was the very first time I started thinking about it as cosplay. And really, it was more of like, oh, I get to wear this Halloween costume to something else besides Halloween. And we had such a huge reaction to the Predator that hooked me just like that. And I was like, so that's my entry point to cosplay, really, and what it could be was the Predator. And it set my expectation, not my expectation, but it set it really high. It set the bar really high for me, right? What a costume could be, what the reaction could be. I don't know if that's a pro or con yet, because that's my first time into this game was the Predator, and it went straight to the top. So now I feel like in order to best that or do something else, I got to beat that, right? But
so you're making a xenomorph next?
No, no, not for me anyway. Maybe somebody else.
Ooh.
The thing about a xenomorph is, anytime I've seen a xenomorph, a cosplayer doing xenomorph, if they're just standing, like you gotta have a flexible body that can get down low, do some like a contortionist type moves to be a good xenomorph, and that's not my body type. So I'm sure I'd gladly make one for someone else, but I'm not going to be doing that. The ones who are just standing there straight up and down, they don't look good.
JS, what about you? Is it Predator #1? Is that the big one, or is there stuff before that I'm unaware of?
My Revan was my first full costume build. If you've seen my Revan now, it's changed actually quite a bit since, but Revan was my first build. The story I was saying earlier about the lightsaber and ending up with that was the costume. But again, for me, it was a costume, right? I mean, I was building it as a costume. It wasn't really a cosplay thing. Like Rob says, it wasn't really until the Predators. It was undeniable, the reaction that we got, right? I mean, it was more than just Halloween. The first time we wore those costumes was for Halloween. And we were walking down the streets and people were losing their fucking shit.
Cars stopping.
Literally,
like pulling over, doing U-turns, coming back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite the reaction. From that, I think that was it. We were hooked.
Yeah.
Fair enough. When you get a reaction like that for two costumes that I think a lot of people, when they see those costumes, they've envisioned them in their heads of what they would look like in person. But once you're standing in front of them, it's completely different. Because that's how I felt when I saw them. I was like, oh, I can envision a Predator. But then when it's right in front of you, it's like, oh, this is bigger and badder looking than I would have ever imagined.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we're not small human beings, me and Rob, right? Let's be honest here. So, in the suits, we're ginormous. Again, I was just looking at some video footage from, I think it was London Comic Con, and I mean, we're not like 7 feet tall, but we still, like in the suits, we're towering over people. So, there's the imposing factor that people, strikes them. There was also a very specific design choice that me and Rob did when the first thing that we both agreed on was we didn't want to have the big giant bobbleheads like they have in the movie. We wanted them to look like the head was a proper head on a body, right? So that changed the look of the Predator a little bit from, again, a wrestler with a bobblehead to an actual massive looking thing, right? I don't know how to explain it better than that, but just that little thing completely changed the look of the costume. I think that's what people are grasping to.
Yeah,
that's what connects to me anyway.
Yeah, and I think anybody that sees those two walking down a hallway, whether it's in the middle of the night during Halloween or in the bright daylight of a convention, it gets a reaction. And it's the same with Negan. Like I've seen you do your Negan, and even that, I think all three of you do something that I've always appreciated that not all cosplayers are good at doing, but I think the great ones are good at doing, and that is embodying the character. Is there this is a side question that just came in my head. Is there something that you guys do to sort of get your head in that character? Because I feel like when I'm Luigi or when I'm Ghost Rider, when I used to do Michael Myers and I would walk around Halloween night, I would have people kind of like the Predator throwing comments and doing U-turns and stuff, but I would put headphones in because I would go squirrely and get off character. Is there something that you guys kind of mentally put yourself in a different state of like, I'm Negan when you're either just taking photos or having interactions, or, what's your process of being the character?
It really depends on the character, Chris. For some of them, I don't necessarily get into character because it's that particular character is maybe not striking me in such a way, or there's not enough personality in the character to really bring anything out to the forefront. But because Negan is such a giant personality, like a very colorful personality, it's really easy. Like as soon as Lucille's in my hand, it's like, then I start channeling. There was a time, my friend, I was doing that character so much. I would be out on the golf course and I would take a swing of the golf club, and then I would put the golf club up on my shoulder and just walk around with it, not realizing what the fuck I'm doing. And I'm like, someone like that knows looks over and is like, you're doing it again. And I'm like, I'm doing what? And they're like, you're doing Negan while we're standing here. So because I'll say this to the people that are maybe just getting into cosplay too. Someone will tell you that knowing the character, I think, is important, but some people will tell you that there has to be like some deep personal connection with the character too. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you can start off with a character that maybe because you have a resemblance to them, or maybe they're from a property that you like and that one works for you, or maybe it's a budgetary issue. There are characters that you will connect with deeply right away, but there's other characters that you'll connect with over time the more you do them. And I found that some of the characters that I do have that sort of, even something as recent as Loki, when I first started doing Old Man Loki and I brought it out, I just did one single pose. It's the exact same pose every time. Classic Loki. Every single picture of me is in the exact same pose. But then I started to get more of a feel for the character. The more I did it, the more I wore it. And I started doing other things with it, other facial expressions, other actual expressions, whatever. So the character kind of grew with me. Whereas Negan, right away, it was like, this is a comedian right away, Cable right away. Like those are just, that they resonated deeper with me off the jump or whatever, I guess. But every character has been a little bit different, man. Every character is, I don't know that I have one process that like I do this and that gets me into the character. Everyone's different. I don't know how you guys feel. Once you guys start walking around those Predators, man, you guys are intimidating as fuck. That's clearly something that you're doing. It's not just the height and the size. What's your guys' process? Like, how do you get to the point where you know you're going to go out there as badass MFs?
For me, it's almost the opposite, that I don't have to get into that character. When I put that on, it brings it out of me. It brings in my inner narcissism, because I know the attention that it gets me, and I know the things it's allowed me to do.
That's why the Predator struts.
Yeah, when I put that on, it's like I am like the things that I might not be as easily open to do without wearing a mask. Once I put that on, it's like, okay, the attitude comes out, right? My inner narcissism comes out. And that's where the like intimidation factor comes out, because I know I can act like that kind of badass character or person. I mean, completely get away with it. So this is my like get out of jail free card, and then that inner thing that is normally suppressed comes out. That's how I would describe it. What about you, Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, Steve says it here. The mask. It's the mask. The mask
It's
holds the
mask,
power,
Yeah.
and it really does. There's something to be said about putting that headpiece on, whether you have the rest of the suit or not. Even just the headpiece, and it you become the character. I don't know how to explain it beyond that. Now, and this is something that me and Rob have done a lot of, and I don't know if you've even tuned into this, Rob, but we do a lot of this. When we build something new, like we'll watch it over and over again. Like when we were building the Predators, we literally watched a Predator movie every day.
Yeah.
Every time we were working on this, we had a Predator movie playing in the background, right? When I'm building Doc Ock, every time I'm down there working, I've got either Spider-Man 2 or the new one. I forget what the new one's now. Actually, was the new one even out? I can't even remember if the new one was out. Either way, it wasn't out. But either way, like I'm rewatching and I don't know. It there's something when you put a costume on, especially if your face is covered. When your face is covered, it's like you become something else. Because I don't have the same affinity to Doc Ock or to the play side of the character that I do with the Predator, where I'm a completely different person, right? So yeah, having your face covers changes a lot. Did you find that when you put like your Spider-Man on or anything like that?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I got to be honest with you. I find the mask inhibits me more than it does anything else. I'm kind of the opposite of you guys, because it for me, it doesn't allow me to make the connection with the person individual. It feels like there's a barrier between us. When I did Deathstroke, so I only did Deathstroke once. When I do Spider-Man, when I do anything with that's why almost none of my cosplays have a full mask on them. And even with the Spider-Man, I love taking that mask off, even though I don't like showing people that instead of 17-year-old Peter Parker, it's 50-year-old Jeff. It really kind of ruins the illusion a little bit. You know what I mean? But I don't
Stan said everybody can wear the suit.
I know, but I don't like how the mask separates me from the individual or from the group of people that are there, because I feel like that's blocking me off from making that kind of connection. With you guys, it works, though, because the mask is not everything on that Predator, but it's such a key integral piece.
It's the
It's what brings the whole thing together. You guys can't do that without that mask. You have to have it. So
yeah. And even Megan in chat saying, I feel like my cosplays are my mask. The minute I get into it, I'm in character. I have to agree, Meg. I'm the exact same way. As soon as I'm in the Luigi costume, I suddenly start doing the voice, and it's in a very sad Italian accent. I apologize for any Italians that ever see me do it. But I suddenly just feel like Luigi, and same with Ghost Rider. I start to get my chest puffs out a little bit more. My shoulders go back. I get a little more stance when I'm in photos. So yeah, I feel the exact same way. It sort of brings out that inner person, that inner character in me that I guess has been deep down inside. JS, you brought up a really interesting thing that I have an answer to, and it's changed over the years, and it's really changed recently. You mentioned when you're building Predators and Doc Ock, you were watching the source material in your background. Rob, Jeff, what do you guys listen to, watch when you're building, thinking about cosplay, thinking of ideas? What's your muse, let's say, to bring out that creation?
Rob, you want to jump in here? You want me to?
I'm trying to think. Like when we're making the cut, well, we've already picked something.
Yeah, like, is it like you like listening to something? Like, is you a lo-fi hip hop person that just, I need something calming to sort of bring out that creation? Or
music is, for me, is what recharges my soul, my chi, basically. So I'm always listening to music. So if I'm working on something, it's music. If I create a reel, it's inspired by a beat I heard. So music definitely powers a lot of my creativity, consciously and subconsciously. I don't know. What about you, Jeff?
Well, when I'm clicking by it now on the webpage, I definitely have got some music on in the background. But I mean, I think we all know that these two guys are makers. And
Yeah.
Rob is we've nicknamed now Rob the Builder as opposed to just Rob the Badass or Rob the Bad Guy, because
I'm not a
he-
cosplayer. I'm a maker.
he is a cosplayer. Shut up. But he is also like a key builder, not just of costumes and props and such, but like the pillars that you see that's largely Rob's work. So that's where and JS obviously with the 3D print, the helmets, like everything else that JS puts together. For me, that's not me. I don't do any of that. That's why I'm the mouthpiece. That's what's my chi, what's my inner, running this ever loving thing right here, and getting people to the booth and getting people engaged and talking to people and trying to be, I don't want to say the voice, but trying to get people to interact with us as much as we possibly can, because that's what we're there for, to build that community. For me, it's all about the interpersonal connections, man. That's what recharges my batteries. Yeah, a free hug sign. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I try to be the most people-y of the people that are there, which is why whenever we're going around doing the interviews, a lot of the times I'll handle the interviews. And a lot of the times the people that we interview are people that I already know because of how many connections I have in the community. I'm not patting myself on the back. I just happen to be an extremely extroverted person when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that's my level of building. My build is,
in other words, he's the most normal of these weirdos.
yeah, I don't okay. I'm sure you'd have a lot of people arguing that, my friend. Not at all. I'm just the least talented, and I don't feel like I have the wherewithal.
Tasha says you are the con father, buddy.
Yeah, I don't want to learn new skills. I want to use the skills I have, and the skills I have is interacting with other people. So that's what I do as far as the group goes. That's what recharges me.
No, I wouldn't even say that's a negative when it comes to the group. I mean, you need that person in your group, in your what you guys are doing with a booth and trying to get fans to come over and interact with you guys. You need someone to be that mouthpiece. And I gotta say, Jeff, like, it's
don't you dare. Don't
con daddy. Thank you so much, Megan.
Great kids. I'm out of here. We'll see you later. It's been fun.
I hear his shirt's gonna be on the way soon.
Yeah, you fuck off.
But I have to admit, like, even with what happened last year at this year at Fan Expo, like, every single time I went by your booth, you were on the horn getting people into the booth. And I know there was some reasons why you were going extra because of location and all that, and we won't get into all that. But I gotta admit, like, there's not many people that I know that, even if they have a booth for some major entertainment studio, they're not barking and getting people, come look at us. You do an amazing job at that. So I really don't think you should, count that as a negative. That's something that a lot of people don't have the skill to do and don't feel comfortable doing for that long. So I think
I appreciate that. I think it's been good, and I think that's a lot of the reason why our team works, because we all do everything, but we also have clear strengths that we bring forward, that we bring to the table. JS started the whole thing and really is the kind of the glue that holds us together. Producer Jen does just that. She produces for us. She does so much of the admin work, so much of the background work. Rob is such an insane builder, and if he gets it in his mind that he wants to build something, it's going to get built. He'll figure out a way to do it. It becomes like a little bit of an obsession with him. Like, no, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do this. And then he makes that happen. And it blows my mind how he even gets there in his head.
Do you know how many times we've tricked Rob into a project just by putting a bug in his ear, and then that was it?
You're not supposed to tell him we're tricking him.
That's how I ended up with a Star Wars cosplayer.
Then you got Teresa with the photography. You've got Megan with the editing skills and the cosplay work as well. Like everybody, and then Jamie helping with run the booth, run the store. Like everybody has a job to do and a role to do, and we all understand that we all have a common goal of bringing the experience and building the community to as many people as possible. So, yeah, I'm not trying to downplay my contribution. I'm just saying we all do different things, right?
Yeah. When it comes to the culture of cosplay, there are many groups in the area that have tried, because I've been doing cosplay for 10 years, are continuing to try, but I don't think there's a group that matches your enthusiasm, your understanding of the culture, and your acceptance of everybody into the culture. There's definitely some groups out there that I've seen that they're more popular, possibly, when it comes to account numbers, but I don't think I've ever seen any of you guys push, not, I shouldn't say push, but negate a new person joining the fandom or coming to your booth? And I think that's something that really should be applauded. What gave you the drive to want to grow the culture and not just be, hey, we're a bunch of cosplayers that hang out?
JS.
I mean, I think, Michael, you go to cons all the time. You've probably been to more cons than all of us combined. You understand the love of that, the love of going to cons, the love of cosplay, the love of the community, and when we went to the con for the first time as the Geeks Co, the idea is we wanted a spot. We wanted to be able to have one place where everybody can congregate, everybody can come, everybody can take pictures. We'd have some backdrops set up. Like the whole point was to kind of serve that community, right? Not only did we want to have a space where we were going to be able to do stuff, but we wanted other people to come and do stuff with us, right?
Mhm.
I think that still holds true today. I mean, that's the whole real reason why we're in this. We're never going to tell somebody, "Oh, I don't know, you suck. You don't belong in this." What are you talking about? Cosplay is for everyone. It doesn't matter if your cosplay is 3D printed, if it's professionally made and bought, or if it's made out of cardboard. If you're at a con to cosplay, come and hang out. That's what we're there for, right? We're there to have a good time. Literally, we want everybody to have a good time. That's why we're there, right? So, yeah. That's it, really. I mean, I hope that answers your question. I forget what the question was now.
No,
But I mean, I hope that answers the question. I mean, look, I'll say this: I think every single one of us are a little bit older now, or at least most of us are. A couple of our members are a little bit younger, but most of us are now on the middle aging side, let's call it, and I think there's something to be said about fostering the community and wanting it to grow and wanting the kids to get into it. That was a big thing for me was getting my kid into it, right? Who now is, you know what I mean? Like that was a big thing for me. So wanting there to be more and more cosplayers is a big part of why I want to keep doing this. I can't say otherwise.
What I found with some of the groups, especially like the more specialty groups, and I'm not shitting on anybody specifically, but when you were talking about some of the specialty groups, a lot of the times it's like they have prerequisites for being part of that group or being in that group, and if you don't match those particular prerequisites, then you don't get to be part of that group, or there's a specific agenda that's going on with that specific group or that specific group. I think we found that there wasn't really a community building thing that was like everybody. We're not beholden to one group or another. We're not beholden to one IP or another. We're beholden to ourselves. And what we wanted to do was celebrate cosplay and build community. Right from the jump is what our goal was. And I remember Andrew Saxon, who was in the channel there, said it best. He's like, you guys gave a wayward cosplayers a home, like a place to be and hang out and stuff. And I think that makes us a little bit unique. I think even some of the booths that were similar to ours that weren't beholden to one IP, were still got very cliquish. They got very like, we're the cool kids and you're not, so you can come take pictures, but then like kind of like shuffle on, move on. And for us, it was, that's exactly what she's saying. They're a little bit too cliquish. I agree. We try to be as open and welcoming and bring people in as we possibly can. And I find that gives us a bit of a uniqueness that maybe some of the other groups don't have.
Very well said.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I don't want to repeat myself, but it's true. Like I will say it from experience. I go to conventions on my own. I used to have a bunch of friends that used to go, but they all had kids and they have families and they have lives. They don't go anymore. I have my friends that I've gained that are volunteers, but they're working the cons usually. So I can't just go hang out with them all day because they're busy. So when I'm in cosplay, I'm walking around by myself usually. So there were times, especially in 2019 at Fan Expo, when you guys had that big area where we all knew it was the cosplay area, but I was just kind of standing almost like a wallflower, just like, hey, I don't really know anybody, but you guys were over there and you guys had your booth. And then even when I would walk over and sort of be on the edge, I remember Jeff, and it honestly meant a lot. And I don't think you realized that when I was Gambit and you said, Gambit over here. Like you brought me in, and you brought me into that little group, and that meant a lot to me, because you could have just,
I forgot you did that costume. That's right.
I know. I need to bring it back out.
You do.
But that's a moment that I think a lot of you probably give a lot of cosplayers, that you probably do it so many times you don't realize that how much it impacts the people who are like me, who maybe are solo or new to cosplay. So I wanted to give you that little moment. When it comes to culture and cosplay, where do you see it going from here? Do you see it growing? Do you see it sort of plateauing? Do you see influences and things coming into it over the next couple of years? What do you guys think?
Cosplay is tough because it's very I don't know that trendy is the right word. Like it really depends on what's really hot at that time. I'll give you the perfect example. Barbie comes out, there's Barbie everything everywhere, right? So it's hard to really recognize what the trends are going to be. I think there are more and more people building bigger costumes again. Like I remember before the pandemic, you would always see big people in giant armors and big crazy costumes, and you don't see a lot of that anymore. You still see some, but more and more we're starting to see those come back. And I'm already hearing a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm building this big costume and I'm building that big costume," and so the big giant costumes are going to come back, and I'm hoping to join that crew soon. But yeah,
it's not even just the big costumes though. We talked about this on a previous podcast. The ratio now of normies to cosplayers is shrinking. More and more events, more and more people are dressing up, and even if it's just Halloween costumes or whatever, and anime has played a huge part in that, in getting especially younger kids to come out of their shell and to put on costumes that they and their friends love to celebrate and come out. That last fan expo that we did, you almost had to hunt for people that weren't in costume.
Yeah,
more and more people are getting into it. I don't know that you're necessarily getting more and more people, physical people, coming out to the cons, but the people that are coming out, more and more of those people are taking the time to cosplay. So I think the cosplay hobby itself is growing. I don't know if there's necessarily more people in general coming out to these type of events, but there's definitely more cosplayers for sure.
Yeah, and I don't. And that's kind of the distinction I was making a little bit earlier as well, and I think Rob touched on that a little bit too. Is I think there's a difference between somebody that's dressing up to go to a con and somebody that's going to cosplay. Does that make sense? Yeah. And there is more and more cosplayers, and for me, a cosplayer is somebody that's going to dress up and is going to go hang out with the cosplayers, and yeah, they're going to go do the con, but they're going to the con to cosplay. Whereas there are other people that usually the distinction is very simple. The cosplayers go to the con the whole weekend. Most of the people that dress up to go to the con are only going the one day. Now, I'm not saying all cosplayers go for the whole weekend, but there's more and more of those people for sure, at all levels, from wearing a casual cosplay up to something real fancy. There's definitely more and more. And you can see it walking down the aisles. It's becoming visually incredible that almost everybody's in costume.
Like you talked about earlier, where I think it was Jeff who was saying, we started this with, "Oh, I'm not one of those effing people over there," to now everybody's doing it. So it's definitely becoming more accepted, and every year it seems to be getting, like you said, more and more people are in cosplay all the time. So it's gone from something that's been you're not going to be caught dead as one of those people, to now the normies are, they're the minority when you go to a con. I was thinking about that when we went to Ren Fair briefly and dropped in there, and that's the one thing I noticed when I was there. And I know Ren Fair is a little bit different than a cosplay, but there were way more people at that Ren Fair in costume than even at a cosplay convention. Just a side note. So it's definitely booming, and that's one of the things that keeps me in this, is that I definitely think there's room to grow, for sure. There's so much room to grow and so much potential that this is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
Do you see it as a generational thing? Like, do you see more kids wanting to be a part of it, or is it more of the older generation that has the finances that can afford to do these big cosplays? Or do you see more of the kids doing I'm going to wear my Halloween costume or something like that to a con and be a cosplay?
It's both. And I think it's really, really important to highlight the fact that the culture, the zeitgeist, the culture overall, Avengers Endgame is the biggest movie of all time. We have this massive blanket of geek and nerd shit, this geek and nerd renaissance that's been happening since the early 2000s. We don't get, and none of this is happening without that. So now that all of this stuff is mainstream, the huge boom in anime and then the massive boom in comic book and superhero style movies has brought all of these characters to the normies, to the muggles, to the masses. Like, people on the street know who Captain America is, who Iron Man is, who Batman, like, they know who all these characters are now, and they didn't know any of them before, or didn't have any connection to them before. And now they absolutely love and adore them. And it's given us an opportunity to explore those things in such a way that you don't feel like some weird basement nerd that's doing this really weird niche thing like it was back in the 90s. Like, I'm laughing at these Klingons at the Star Trek convention in 97, and now I am the fucking Klingon in 2017 because the entire culture surrounding it has changed, because it's become mainstream. Like, people know it now. And now with all the streaming platforms and all the social media, there's so much more access to it across the board. That plays probably the biggest role of all in getting people to put on costumes and go outside and interact with other people and not be shunned or made fun of or whatever, right?
Yeah, I agree completely.
Nerd culture has changed a lot, over the years, and that has a huge factor to play in this. It has to. It's cool to be a nerd now.
Absolutely.
Normies are nerds now, right? And geeks, because it's the cool thing. It's the in thing, right?
Yeah, and kind of going off what Jeff said earlier, we're getting it from the Renaissance. We're getting it from the nostalgia that we grew up with comics, and some of us still read comics and still are into that nerddom. But I feel like it's cross-generational, which is something I kind of didn't see coming. I kind of knew that I grew up with Spider-Man, I grew up with X-Men, I grew up with all the Avengers, so I was going to be interested in these properties. But the kids got into it too. Like, I clearly remember working at Toys R Us. I would say it was around the time Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and we got all the Avengers costumes, all the Iron Man's, Captain America. We brought them out for Halloween, and then my boss wanted to put them away, and I said, why don't we keep them out? Because they're just collecting dust in the back. Maybe some kid will come in and want an Iron Man costume randomly for a cosplay or just to hang out in. And she was kind of pushing it away. And then it wasn't about 2-3 weeks later, some kid came in looking for a Iron Man costume. And I went, so this isn't just a Halloween thing. This is becoming a kids thing, that kids are wanting to incorporate these characters all year long and want to maybe not cosplay in their mind, but still wear a costume all year long, which I thought would just be our generation cosplayers.
Yeah, I always wondered why big box stores didn't keep their costumes around all year round. Like, you tell me kids wouldn't want to have costumes from their favorite characters all year round? Like, that's only a Halloween thing? Like, I don't get that.
The arguments I had. We have princess dresses for all the girls and Elsa dresses, but we can't keep Iron Man and Cap out. And I'm like, there's got to be one kid out there that wants an Iron Man costume in February. Like, I can't be the only one thinking that. But it is interesting that the culture has grown so much. We are at the 54-minute mark. I know some of us need to get an early night's sleep because
I am yours to command tonight, sir. Well, this is the first and probably the only time you're ever going to have me on this podcast, man. You go right ahead.
All right, next week, Jeff will not be on the podcast. I was going to have him as a solo guest, but oh well, not anymore.
Lies. All lies.
I want to thank you all for being here. It's greatly appreciated. Guys, if you don't know, these are the Geeks Co. They have a show every Thursday night on their podcast channel, the Geeks Boutique Podcast. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end where everyone can find you. But as a guest, I have 10 questions that I think all three of you need to answer. with all of our guests, I'm going to be asking the Bernard Pivot inside the Actor Studio 10 questions because there's such odd questions that I love finding out everybody's answer to. I ask my friends these questions, and I want to hear what your answers are because I know that some of them are going to be amazing. So let's start things off. Let's go left to right. Let's start with Jeff. Jeff, what is your favorite word?
Boobs.
Rob.
He didn't ask for your favorite thing. He asked for your favorite
My
word.
favorite word.
Good night, everybody.
Yep.
Answer to every question.
Boobs. No.
Mine's probably
Rob.
good solid F-bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
JS?
Oh, and we're all doing the. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. we'll go-
Cottywomple.
Collywomple. Nice. Very good.
Okay. Can you use it in a sentence?
I cottywompled my way over to some weird alley.
The fuck is happening right now?
Can you use it in an English sentence?
Please don't make him do it again, please. I beg of you, please don't.
What is all right, Jeff, what is your least favorite word?
Okay, this is where the old man in me comes out. So
Okay.
I really despise it when what's happening slowly but surely to the English language and how badly corrupted it's being with stuff from certain things. So it's not one specific word. I'll use an example: finna, which is
Yeah,
like
okay. That's
fixing
fun.
to,
Yeah.
right? Is like I'm finna get my drink on or whatever. Yeah, that just pokes a nail into my head so hard. It drives me absolutely bonkers. So I'll use that as my example of my least favorite word.
Rob.
I'm gonna string two words together here. I got to go with two words, and it's popsicle stick. And the reason for that, I know, you're like,
Okay.
what?
I want to hear why. Go.
It's a texture thing, okay? And I know I hate that. I hate the idea of a licking popsicle stick. Oh my god, I can't even say it. It gives me the worst feeling, right? So it's something my wife will use against me. Like we'll be in a fight and she'll just yell popsicle stick, and I'm like, oh.
Everybody's
my
got that
answer.
word. Okay. JS?
You know, I'm going to be 100% honest here because, Rob sounded like an honest one. Actually, Jeff as well. I had to go look for my least favorite word because I don't really have a least favorite word. So instead of coming up with some dumb answer, I'll just tell you the truth. I don't actually have a least favorite word.
Love your honesty.
But online, the leastest favorite word is moist.
Oh.
By far.
Fair enough. I'll
By
count it.
far.
All right. Well, I kind of think I know Jeff's answer for this one.
Oh,
What-
Megan Avery is wanting me to spell cottywomple, and it's CODDIWOMPLE.
There's
Well
your
done.
word of the day, everybody. You can use it tomorrow at
I
work.
think.
Look this up.
Double D's. Just for you, Jeff.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Jeff, what turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
What we talked about earlier, being able to connect with people on an interpersonal level. That's the extrovert coming out of me. That's what gets my juices flowing. That's what motivates me. That's what turns me on creatively, spiritually, emotionally, 100%, making those emotional connections with people in a live environment.
Love it. Rob?
For me, it's got to be something that teaches me a new skill or challenges me in some way.
Nice. I like that. JS?
Yeah, I'm with Rob too. A lot of my drive to make new cosplays and new things usually revolves around figuring something new out. Like right now, I'm playing with resin and I'm having the time of my life, even though nothing's coming out of it. I'm just throwing money at silicone right now, but I'm loving it, right? Like I'm learning how it works and I'm figuring out the intricacies, and I love to learn. So that's how I progress is Just throw some shit at me that doesn't make any sense and let me figure it out.
That is a good. I like that answer. That I've had trouble learning that failure is a learning process, and that's okay. So I appreciate that answer because I have trouble with that. So, Jeff, what turns you off?
Societally, especially in Western society, are whatever burning need to divide everything in half politically and champion one thing against the other thing. It doesn't seem to matter what the fuck that thing is. We're just pre-programmed in Western society to take any one thing, no matter how contextual, no matter how layered, no matter how many levels an issue might have, and divide it into two camps. And then everybody's got to pick a camp, and then you have to defend that camp as hard as you can and shit on the other camp as much as you can. And I'm not just talking Coke, Pepsi, Marvel, DC. I mean, everything is politicized now. Everything is a bomb waiting to go off politically. And it drives me absolutely fucking bananas. Because now people aren't even necessarily choosing a side of an issue because that's what they truly believe. They're choosing that side of the issue because that's where their peer group is. So they feel they have to be over there. That turns me off so much that now it feels like we can't even just have regular conversations with each other anymore because we have to tiptoe around every single thing that's a political issue, which is every single thing now. It's getting to a point where human discourse is just disappearing without having all these quacks in your fucking ear from this side and that side giving you grief about whatever it is you're talking about this week. That turns me off tremendously. Yeah. I'm an old man.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah, exactly.
Get off my lawn.
My fucking lawn.
People are standing on my lawn. They don't use the walkway.
Jesus Christ.
Those clouds take a verbal beating every day, don't they?
God damn it. Rob,
what about you?
I don't have a good answer for this one, to be honest with you. I'm coming up empty on it. Jeff had a really good answer to this, and I think so many things turn me off nowadays that I'm also just turning into an angry old man that wants you to get off my lawn. But
join me.
So yeah, I don't have a good answer to that one. I'll pass it over to JS and see if he can do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I will also go along with Jeff's answer, but I'll take it a little bit further in that. I feed a lot off of other people's energy. And if you're around me and you have a bad attitude, that throws me off, and that will, turn me off completely. I'm already weird, a tad weird socially. Like I'm just so that people know, I'm a talent acquisition specialist. So I'm on the phone talking to people that I don't know every day. I interview people for a living, right? I've trained myself into being socially, into doing my job, right? You could teach anybody to sell a product. You could teach anybody to do the type of things that I do. Myself, I'm a little socially awkward outside of my trained setting. So if on top of that you've got a bad attitude, I'm shut down 100%.
That's fair. That's honest. If you're doing that every day like that.
Natasha says we need another safety meeting. We sure do. I think it's that time. Let's get there anyway.
It is almost time for a safety.
It's almost time.
All right. Here comes the fun one. Jeff, what is your favorite curse word?
Thought long and hard on this one because I have so many. But really, at the end of the day, I think it's the versatility of the word shit. Because I use it so often, and I find myself adding an animal to it to signify specific things. Like if someone's lying, that's bullshit. But then if it's like if it's been wronged in some way,
I've heard this monologue before, bud.
That's horseshit. If someone's crazy, they're batshit. If I don't like something, that's dog shit. Like everything, but again, and the weird part is, if something's great, it's the shit, right? So like the versatility of that word, I find the F word is also very, very versatile, but I find myself using shit in some way, shape, or form in almost all of my dialogue all day, every day. So clearly it's my favorite word. Curse word. Boobs is still my favorite word. Let's not. Yeah. But shit is definitely my favorite curse word. What about you, Rob? What's your favorite curse?
My favorite curse has got to be the same as my favorite word, which is fuck, and it's usually preceded by what the most of the time. Right? What the fuck? What the fuck? Are you kidding me? What the fuck now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it directed usually against the two guys on either side of you?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Lots of times, yeah. JS, what's yours?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's fuck. I mean, from fuck it to fuck this to fuck this shit.
Coming up in a solid second place.
See?
Yeah.
Combining
Fuck
the
this
words
shit.
together. Fuck
Yeah.
this shit, I'm out.
And yeah, fucker to fuck
Man.
is my I say fuck a lot.
I hope this isn't
Fuck a lot.
monetized, because it's not now.
Yeah.
No longer monetized.
Yeah.
My wife's my sponsor. It's not monetized.
Yeah,
What about your favorite swear word there, Mr. Myers? Do you even swear? Do you swear at all?
I swear, I grew up in a house that kind of frowned on that highly, so it's not always in my vocabulary. But then I live with my mom, and then my dad I'd see on the weekends, and he cursed like a sailor. So I have a little bit of it in me. Yeah, fuck is probably the one, and it's very similar to the shit. It's just there's more fuck than anything else.
Yeah.
Like it's the I had expectations, fuck, they're gone, than anything else. It's never usually an attack. It's usually just disappointment than anything else. Yeah. Fuck.
Oh, fuck off.
Fuck. Jeff, what sound or noise do you love?
I don't know if love is the word, but I'm one of those idiots that has to have white noise going on. In fact,
Nice.
I have to turn it off when I'm doing the podcast, and as soon as I'm doing the podcast, I turn it right back on again. So when I get home from work, I turn white noise on, and it's on the entire time I exist when I'm not recording anything. And then I when I get up in the morning and I leave for work, I turn it off. And then as soon as I get back home, I turn it on again immediately. So I don't know if love is the word, but I have to have it in my life. So
Okay. Rob?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I also
Yeah.
can't sleep without some white noise, but this is going to be a geeky answer, but you know what I really love is the sound of a proton pack starting up.
That's a good
Right.
answer.
That's a
that's
good
a pretty
answer.
goddamn great
That's a good
sound.
answer. I wish I
Yeah.
had thought of
The
that. to
very
be
first
honest.
half of it when you first flick the
Yeah.
switch.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. I'd like to change my answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Jeff, I thought your answer was going to be the sound of your own voice, but
Wow.
uh,
Close second.
close second.
Yeah. We all know yours. It's the sound of my voice. Anyways, continuing on.
A lot of people that don't know me personally don't know that at heart I'm a car guy. I'm a geek, but I'm a car geek. And I love the sound of a screaming engine. But let's be honest, there is no other engine like the Lamborghini V12, straight piped, screaming. Fuck yeah. Me and Rob got to actually go to what was it called again?
It was GTA Exotics.
GTA Exotics.
At Mossport. I knew your answer was going to be engine, but I also knew it was going to be which engine.
You knew it was going to be a Lamborghini engine. Yeah. Listen, we got to go to GTA Exotic at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and we got to drive some exotics, and I got to drive a Lambo. Let me tell you something. What a blast. It was fucking You know, when you see a Lamborghini in a video or on TV and you imagine yourself, how cool must it be to sit in that car and drive it? It's even cooler. You have no idea. It's so dope. It's yeah. I spent 10 minutes just sitting in the car before we took off just because, I'm sitting in a fucking Lamborghini, right? Let's be honest. Rob did the same, but, it was just, yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun day.
Megan Harley.
That old Harley. You
girl.
know, sounds the Harleys are pretty good. Two of our
Yeah.
good buddies that used to live on the street both have Harleys, and not to knock Nate's Harley because he's got a dope ass Harley, but his was a little bit loud.
Hmm.
I don't miss them.
Yeah, I think Pete's sounded better because it was a little bit quieter, but yeah, they're loud as hell. That's the one thing is, and you live basically next door to both of them. When they started it up, and then they're letting him warm up in the driveway for 15 minutes, right?
When you live in a townhouse complex and
Yeah.
somebody starts a Harley up, you're up. That's it. You're done. You're not
sleeping. That's for sure.
You're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That
You say
Dave's Mustang. You're not sleeping. That's for
Ooh.
sure.
Yeah.
5.0. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, JS, because I've obviously had my ideas of what these answers are, but when you mentioned engine, my dad and my sister, they used to race stock cars around here up on Flamborough and around the area.
Nice.
And when I was little, that sound of him starting the car up, it still gives me a little bit of goosebumps. So I get it, where that engine hits, no matter what the car was. It was usually like a Sunfire or something like that, but still just that. I get it.
Yeah, and there's the whole tactile experience, right? It's the smell of the rich fuel and then the rubber burning off the racetrack, and like there's something about it that I just can't like. I'm a car guy, Art.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing. I'm not a car guy, but I've got the same thing. Like my dad used to work at a gas station, so I grew up around the fumes all the time. So as soon as I get that fume, I'm like, this is terrible for my lungs, but
Smells like
God,
that.
it smells good.
It smells like Dad.
Basically, honestly, kinda. Jeff, what sound or noise do you hate?
JS's voice. Next question. No. Love every tonal installation from that guy. Honestly, so it's the opposite of the sound I love. I can't fucking stand a complete absence of sound. Like if it's dead quiet, and I mean dead quiet, I can't take that. I start going monkey shit. I can't do that. So there has to be something. There has to be some sort of noise going on, or I'll go crazy. So I don't know if that's an answer. It's a terrible answer, but the complete absence of sound is what I hate as far as.
Will it wake you up? Like if power goes out and
like
the
that.
fan stops, it'll wake you up. Eh?
Like
wow.
that. Yeah, it happened like last week. We lost power for like 5 minutes or whatever, and the second it shut off, I was instantly awake. Yeah, it's a drag. Obviously, it can be. So I have a white noise app on my phone in case I'm either somewhere where I can't have a fan or the power goes out. I'll just turn it on my phone and try to get back to sleep at that point. But
that's interesting because I'm the same. I'm the opposite. I need dead silence, and my wife needs something. So she's usually got Futurama on or something, and if I'm in dead silence, it's so peaceful to me. But we've come to an agreement. She wears headphones at night. I sleep in silence.
Can't do it, man. Rob, what's your least favorite sound?
This isn't going to be a really interesting one, but it was the first thing that came to mind was the sound of a cicada in the summer.
I thought for sure it was going to be like two popsicle sticks rubbing together. I thought for sure that was going to be.
I should never have told you guys this.
I'm bringing so many popsicle sticks to the next time event. You wait till Toronto. I'm going to have a fucking bag full of popsicle sticks.
Yeah, no, like the sound of a cicada in the August summer. I hate that. It just drives my brain crazy. Yeah. Told you it wasn't going to be a very good one, but that's what came up.
It's a good one.
JS?
I think mine is probably a fairly common one. You know, every once in a while I'll be eating, and as I'll be cutting something in my plate, and my fork will. Yeah, exactly. Right. That screech of the fork at the bottom of the plate. Yeah, that makes my teeth grind.
My wife's too. She's almost put a steak knife through my eyeball several times.
Oh yeah, it's one of those noises that makes you want to rip your eyeballs out. That and the dog's neighbors that bark for like 7 hours straight, and Anyway, yeah. Bart Simpson, those motherfuckers.
Punt them over the fence.
This got dark. This got really dark.
A little
really
bit.
fast. It took a turn, eh?
Jeff, what profession other than your own would you love to attempt?
Probably some form of acting. Ideally, voice acting is what I would prefer to do as opposed to being on camera, but on camera acting too. So I've started to kind of dabble in that a little bit of both. Actually, I've done a little bit of both, but if I had to choose between them, probably voice acting as opposed to live action acting. I'm getting too old for that shit. But yeah, that's probably what I would like to do if it wasn't this. Whatever I do now, mostly just fuck the dog. But Rob, what about you? What would you do if you weren't doing you? What would you want to attempt?
I like doing what I do.
You're good at
That's
it too.
good.
To be honest
That's
with
good
you.
then.
I want to do more within what I do. So for those that don't know, I'm an IT guy basically, and I've always been. What I like doing is whatever's new. I get bored really quick. Same with the learning right now. Learn something, I'll do it, I'll make it, and then I'm done. I might never do that thing again because I've overcome that and I've learned that thing. So right now I want to get into like the AI stuff, and do some programming with that because that's new. I'm not a programmer, but that's what I would want to do. If I could get into something different, I would get into like data analytics, data science, AI. That's what I would do.
Cool.
Yeah.
More on the coding side.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's money. I have so many ideas for apps, but I'm not a programmer. So
Oh.
yeah,
JS?
that's me.
I'm completely the opposite. Actually, I went to school and became a software developer, and I stopped that pretty quick because I hated banging my head on the walls every day of the week trying to figure out why my fucking code wouldn't run. And if I had to start over, actually, I'd be a mechanic. Like, I don't know why I didn't do that to begin with. I mean, I've always loved cars. I've always been into cars. Why I didn't become a mechanic or a body man or something to do with, hopefully old cars. I love classic cars as well. Somebody was mentioning classic. Natasha was saying classic cars have the best sound. Classic cars have pretty dope sound too. But yeah, building cars, that'd be dope. Goes kind of hand in hand with building cosplays, right? Build cosplays, build cars,
Building something.
building something.
I like it. I like it. Jeff, what profession would you not like to do?
I don't think I would, other than a politician, I don't think I would want to be responsible for other humans' lives. I don't think I'd want to be like a trauma surgeon where people's lives are on the line on a daily basis. Hats off to those people. I don't know how they have a degree of separation. The terrible part of wanting to connect with people means that you become emotionally invested with people. And if I had to make life or death decisions for people every day and had to see people die or watch people die because I couldn't help them or I couldn't save them or whatever, I think that would really fuck with me over the course of a long-term thing. So I would never, ever want to have people's lives in my hands like that on a daily basis. I think it would just mess me up too much. Sorry, that got deep and dark. Sorry, guys.
No.
I didn't mean to bring the party down.
No, that's a very honest answer, and I kind of agree. Like I remember when I was going for college, I was going to go for marketing, but then I was also thinking paralegal. And when I talked to the counselor, she said, "Well, here's the benefit. Here's the flip side of the two." He goes, "Marketing, you're going to create all the time. Paralegal, you're never going to run into somebody having a good day. They're always going to be having a bad day when you talk to them. So are you able to do that every single day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week?" And I went, I don't know if I can do that. And I think it's similar with what you just mentioned about working in surgery or something like that. Like nobody's coming in saying, "I'm doing great." It's always a bad day. So I get it. I get it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Rob?
This is a story for another day, but I recently did a 5-week stint in waste disposal, and I never ever want to work in waste disposal again. It's shitty, stinky, drippy, smelly, spludgy career, and it was fun, but I never want to do it again.
I want to hear that story. I spent years doing jobs in that particular field. So I would love to pick your brain about that experience and see what it was like for you. For
sure. Another time.
Yeah. Cool.
Me, anything assembly line related. I've worked on an assembly line many years ago. I worked for Bombardier in Quebec building Skidoos, and it sucks. It's the shittiest job you can have, doing the same thing over and over again every 38 seconds for 8 hours a day. Oh, fuck no. No. I need to be learning something. I need to be challenged. I need to be, that's that. The monotony is what kills me.
Fair enough. I think a lot of people would agree with that answer.
Mhm.
Last but not least, Jeff, if heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say when you hit the pearly gates?
Big one.
Yeah.
I think we all know what God would say if he saw me at the pearly gates. He'd be like, "You?"
Hey, that was my answer.
Wait a second. This seems like a mistake.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, it would
believe
either
you're
be
here.
that you or it would be like, "You." It'd be one or
Yeah,
the
man.
other. It would either be total shock and surprise or deep disappointment. One or the other. I don't think there's anything in between there. Heaven doesn't exist, so that's the best answer I can come up with. Rob?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not a believer, but if it did exist, I'd want to hear them say, I'm a firm believer. If you mess up, you got to own your mistakes. I don't want you to talk your way out of it. I want you to own your mistakes. I'd so much rather hear somebody say, "Look, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I'm going to do better next time." So if I get to the pearly gates and God's there, I want to hear him say, "I'm sorry. I fucked up," and own his mistakes. Jess?
That's a good one. Yeah, mine was, "I can't believe you're here."
Yep. How did you get in?
Yeah.
Do we not have anybody working the door?
Wait, what? Who let this guy in?
First this
Viciously
guy,
going
then this
through
guy.
this list like there's no way. There's no way.
There was a miracle in like 95 that he got through somehow. Good answers, folks. Thank you so much for indulging me here on Monday Night Nerd. I greatly appreciate it. Before we head out, let the people know where they can find you. Where can they find you in social? And tell them about the podcast. What's coming up this week?
You can find me. Yeah. So Messiah Complex Cosplay across all social media. I'm not ever on it anymore, unfortunately, but if you need me for something, your best bet is to reach out to me on Instagram. Of course, you can also find me every single Thursday as co-host of the Geek Boutique podcast. We do it live on Facebook and YouTube Thursdays at 7:00. Don't miss 6:45 to 7:00, the technical difficulties pre-show, very aptly named these last few weeks, where we go live on Instagram just for that 15 minutes, typically with the guest that we're going to have on that week, if we're going to have one on, and hopefully work out all the kinks before we get on there. And of course, check out the Geeks Co. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube channel. Throw a like, a subscribe, and a comment. Nailed it. And make sure you're checking out the previous content that you see there as well, because it's going to be great. Did I hit everything? Did I get everything? All right, cool, good, nice.
Rob, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Rob the Bad Guy. That's where my social media presence is. Occasionally, once in a while, I drop in on these two on Crash Their Show. But yeah,
We wish you'd do it more, but
you just I'm the kind of guy that needs to be asked. I don't just show up. You need to ask.
I'm going to ask you every single week.
That's it. You're done. You're done.
Give them an inch. They're going to take it.
Yeah. You can find me at JSBelanger1701. That's my personal Instagram. Obviously, Geeks and Company as well on Instagram is our Instagram. Geeks and Company YouTube channel. Guys, we're also having a little bit of a Christmas event, Christmas cosplay event. Saturday, December 2nd, 2 weeks from now. We're doing Christmas market. That's right. We're getting dressed up. We're doing the Christmas market. We're calling it the Cosmos in the District. There's a bunch of people coming already. So if you can, December 2nd from 3 to 5, and then we're going to have some food and drinks, and then we might hang out for part of the evening. But for sure, we will be there from 3 to 5, where it's still free to get in, by the way, if you get there before 4. Yeah, that's the key. But we also want to meet up during the day so that we can get some pictures and stuff like that. And then at night, after we've had dinner and such, we can enjoy the lights because it's all going to be lit up and decorated and the whole thing. So that should be a fantastic time as well.
I will see you guys there. I'll be making it my first appearance of that. Just got to come out and represent the Geeks Co. So it's going to be a good time.
Mm-hmm. Have you decided what you're wearing?
Christmas Negan, yeah. Just wrap the bat in tinsel and garland and put lights on the bat as well, and just the
That
Santa
works,
hat.
bud.
messing with
That works.
Negan, so, and it's warm.
Yeah.
I got the leather jacket and the scarf and everything, so it works out.
Yeah,
So,
totally works.
Yep.
Excellent.
Love it.
Yep.
Thank you all for joining. Greatly appreciate it. I will definitely have all three of you back on the show in the coming months. Folks, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I do this every single Monday night. Sometimes I have guests. Sometimes I sit here and it's basically a TED Talk talking about whatever topic is going on at the time. But it is about time that we hit the road. Thank you all for joining. I will hopefully see you all next week for Monday Night Nerd. Thank you, Geeks & Co. We'll see you guys soon. Stay nerdy, folks. Talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.